Sheila's in Brighton. Good morning, Sheila.
Morning.
Hello.
Hi. I'm just really feeling sort of sad about Boris Johnson and where do we go from here? It feels like everything's a cesspit now.
Yes.
You know, I can't vote for Labour because I really don't feel that Angela Rayner or Starmer are able to go on the world stage. I think they'd be a little bit embarrassing.
Right. I mean, it's an interesting observation to make about not being able to vote for a politician because they might be embarrassing when Boris Johnson is the Prime Minister.
Yes, I know. Initially, when Boris became thing, I was very much for him, and I thought there's not a handbook to deal with Corona,
Right.
And how can he be expected to know how to handle this?
Sure, but let me just want to focus on the embarrassment point. Was he not embarrassing when he hung from a zip wire in London? Was he not more seriously embarrassing when he said what he said as Foreign Secretary, that he told lies about Miss Zaghari Ratcliffe in Iran and extended, it seems, the period of her incarceration? Why was it only embarrassing from COVID onwards?
I think those things weren't really highlighted so much then, but they are becoming now. So retrospectively, people are becoming more aware of these little foibles, shall we call them.
It's not a foible to tell lies about a British citizen with the consequence that she ends up doing an extra 4 years in jail in Iran.
Well, true. Yes, very true. And I do feel he should have supported her much, much more. But I think the general public always think, is there more to that story? Is there something else behind that?
What could there possibly be? What could there possibly be? He was lazy and incompetent, didn't do the homework and come out with a lie about a British citizen who, as a consequence, has now had to spend many more years in Iranian detention than would otherwise have been the case. That's all there is to that.
But I don't feel like defending him anymore. I feel like, the wallpaper gate thing, I thought that was just kind of crass. People were losing their jobs. Just because you can redecorate doesn't mean you should. It's just been done. Yes, you can. It's within your parliamentary whatever, you can do it. But it doesn't mean you should do it.
And you know what? If he'd stayed, though, Sheila, if he'd even stayed within the £30,000 a year that every Prime Minister gets from the taxpayer anyway, what would you do? I sound like a game show host here, but what would you do with 30 grand in your house?
Exactly, and I certainly wouldn't get really horrible wallpaper.
You'd have to buy the really expensive stuff to use up the budget, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, it just feels sleaze.
Yeah.
And I so wanted to like him. I so, was for him. And now I just feel so incredibly sad. And I think it's gone deeper than that now. It now makes me look at the whole parliamentary thing. Procurement of supplies.
Well, we've not touched on that yesterday, the unlawful way in which the government was found yesterday to have behaved in that regard.
Yeah.
We'll touch on that later.
So it's become everything. But now I find I'm politically, where do I go? If I don't feel that I think that Starmer can go on the world stage and not look a fool against Macron and everybody else, and I just don't feel that he's got the cojones.
Why do you think he would be embarrassing? He is, of course, a former Director of Public Prosecutions. He has a legal background. He is a serious person. You might not think, or you might not agree with his policies, you might not think he's terribly charismatic, but he doesn't strike me as someone who would embarrass himself for us.
I don't know. I think it's like the cringe photo opportunities.
Such as?
Where it just seemed...
like when he drove through a big pile of plastic bricks saying, get Brexit done. Oh, no, wait, that was Boris Johnson.
You're good. No, he just seems to have done photo opportunities that just seem very staged.
Which one? I can't think of any. If anything, he's guilty of not doing enough, isn't he?
Oh, I don't know. He's just not for me. He's okay to be in the party, but I don't want him as a Prime Minister. So I think as a secondary. And Rishi, I think, does have something about him. I could see him on a world stage. But I don't know if he's experienced enough yet. But I just feel politically a bit like, you're all slaves, the lot of you. Yeah, we've got AirPods with Angela Rayner. We've got, other things that are not quite up there. And I thought we were a real strong country. Haven't we got better than this?
I think there's a real risk that if you do a sort of comparison of two politicians side by side, on one side you've got AirPods with Angela Rayner, and on the other you've got a Prime Minister who doesn't feel that 30 grand a year from the taxpayer is enough to do up his flat. I think, the bias is towards one side of that sheet of paper rather than the other, isn't it?
I know, but we do have to appear on the world stage, and we do have to have something that we say about ourselves.
I can think of
our elected responses. person, then shouldn't we have something that is a little bit better than, say, Angela Rayner, what she wore the other day? And I know it's not about dress, but it kind of is.
But you're making it about dress. You've literally just said, right. Look at what Angela Rayner wore the other day, but I know it's not about dress.
Well, it shouldn't be, but it is. Because I wouldn't wear that to an office.
Sheila, I have no earthly clue what Angela Rayner wore to work the other day. I don't know what you're talking about.
With a slit right up the side, it was virtually all the way up. It just wasn't appropriate.
Oh, well, burn the witch then. I mean, seriously, why do you care about what Angela Rayner wears?
Because she has to go on the world stage and represent us.
No, she doesn't.
So I want somebody...
No, she doesn't. She's the deputy leader of the opposition. Which world stage is she walking across? I could understand if she was wearing a dress with a flashing swastika, then that might be a bit of an alarm bell going off in advance of her ascension to a more important role.
If we're to elect them and she became a lead, a deputy leader, not shadow one, then I don't really feel that she's got the right charisma, the right approach, the right everything. She just feels very much like the school dinner lady. and what's wrong with that is one There's nothing wrong with that, but I would like, just for us to put a better... We must have better than that somewhere. We've got to have better people. This is millions of people in the country. Haven't we got better?
We have one of the very worst right now, who is the Prime Minister when it comes to the way he's respected or not by other countries. And in his previous role, as we've discussed, he was the Foreign Secretary. Surely from your perspective, and you agree with that, literally anyone, apart from Liz Truss maybe, literally anyone would be less embarrassing than Boris Johnson right now.
Well, I wouldn't mind Liz Truss if he wants to step aside and put her in. That at the moment would be better. Because he does feel, when have you ever...
You wouldn't be embarrassed by Liz Truss?
Not particularly, no. But have you ever been in a workplace and had alcohol?
No, I can't think of the last time I did.
Nor can I. Nor can I, and nor can anyone I know that has, if it's social, you've got alcohol, but you don't have it in a workplace. Yeah. So to say it's not a party, it was a party. Yeah.
All right, Sheila, in Brighton, it's plain that you're not defending Boris Johnson right now. It would be impossible to do so. But again, maybe it's just me, but I have spent literally no time at all thinking about or noticing or caring about what Angela Rayner wears, or indeed many other politicians. Again, I know you're not defending him now, but difficult to make a complaint about what a politician wears in the context of discussing Boris Johnson.